The cruel irony of love is that to be loved, we're often told to become someone else. This insidious advice, subtly disguised as wisdom for romance, success, or friendship, feels like a poisonous seed planted deep within us. From the cradle, we're subtly taught that our authentic selves, messy, vulnerable, flawed, are unlovable. Tears of hurt, outbursts of anger, the raw, unfiltered expressions of our inner child. These are met not with understanding, but with the cold disapproval of those meant to nurture us. The specter of Jordan Peterson's controversial parenting advice, the image of a defiant child banished to solitary confinement, continues to haunt the collective psyche. This punitive approach, while seemingly extreme, serves as a chilling metaphor for the subtle yet profound conditioning we undergo throughout childhood. It instills a deeply ingrained belief that acceptance is not an inherent right, but a conditional reward contingent upon unwavering obedience and conformity. Our value, rather than being intrinsically derived from our unique essence, becomes inextricably linked to our ability to suppress our authentic selves and mold ourselves into socially acceptable, palatable versions of who we are. This insidious pattern, unfortunately, extends far beyond the confines of childhood. In the realm of romantic relationships, vulnerability and individuality are often perceived as liabilities, potentially driving away potential partners. We are subtly yet powerfully conditioned to believe that true love requires constant performance, a relentless effort to suppress our authentic desires and impulses, and ultimately, a betrayal of our true selves. This fear of rejection, deeply rooted in early childhood experiences, leads us to engage in a constant, exhausting performance, striving to meet the often unconscious expectations of others. We become adept at masking our true emotions, concealing our vulnerabilities, and presenting a carefully curated image of ourselves to the world. This constant state of self-monitoring and self-censorship not only undermines our sense of self-worth, but also hinders the development of genuine intimacy and connection. True intimacy, however, requires a radical shift in perspective. It demands a willingness to embrace vulnerability, to acknowledge our imperfections, and to share our authentic selves with others, despite the inherent risks. It requires cultivating relationships where vulnerability is not met with judgment or rejection, but with compassion, understanding, and acceptance. Breaking free from this cycle of self-suppression requires a conscious effort to reclaim our authentic selves. It necessitates challenging the deeply ingrained beliefs that were instilled in us during childhood and cultivating a greater sense of self-worth that is not contingent upon external validation or the approval of others. You can either be yourself or you can be loved. This impossible choice casts a long shadow over our relationships, trapping us in a vicious cycle. In the initial stages, desperate for connection, we prioritize attachment over authenticity. We meticulously curate a palatable version of ourselves, bearing the messy, vulnerable parts deep within. But this carefully constructed facade can only hold for so long. Sooner or later, the ugly truths, the suppressed anger, the unacknowledged grief, the yearning for something more, erupt violently, shattering the frozen surface of our conformity. The consequences are devastating: divorce, heartbreak, the severing of cherished ties. Yet the allure of belonging proves too strong. We yearn for connection, for the warmth of shared experiences, and so we once again sacrifice our true selves on the altar of social acceptance. Is this perpetual dance between authenticity and detachment an inescapable fate? Or can we somehow reconcile these seemingly irreconcilable needs? A root cause of our deepest tensions and frustrations often lies in the relentless pressure to perform a role that feels foreign to our authentic selves. This insidious truth is increasingly illuminated by contemporary medical research. While the image of the high-strung Type A executive, perpetually chasing success at the expense of personal well-being, readily comes to mind, a far more insidious threat lurks within many of us. As the esteemed physician Gabor Mate astutely observes, the Type C personality, characterized by excessive niceness, a compulsive prioritization of others' needs over their own, poses a significant risk to our physical and emotional health. These individuals, often described as people pleasers, are alarmingly susceptible to chronic illnesses, with studies suggesting a higher incidence of cancer and poorer prognoses. This unsettling correlation points to a profound truth. The suppression of our authentic needs and desires, the relentless effort to conform to external expectations, effectively disarms our innate ability to protect ourselves from the relentless onslaught of stress. These highly toxic, yet often subtly insidious personality traits include a compulsive preoccupation with the well-being of others, an unwavering adherence to a rigid sense of responsibility and duty, a ruthless suppression of healthy self-protective aggression, and an unwavering commitment to two deeply ingrained beliefs: that one is solely responsible for the emotional states of others, and that disappointment is an unforgivable sin. It's crucial to emphasize that these traits, in their purest forms, compassion, honor, diligence, loving kindness, and generosity, are undeniably virtuous. However, as Dr. Gabor Mate astutely points out, it is their compulsive nature, their rigidity, that transforms these noble qualities into a dangerous form of self-denial. These self-denying tendencies often fly under our radar, subtly disguised as admirable virtues, making them particularly insidious and difficult to recognize. One of the most insidious aspects of the Type C personality, characterized by traits like excessive compliance, difficulty expressing emotions, and a strong desire for social approval, lies in its inherent desirability within our social structures. We often observe individuals adopting these behaviors not out of genuine compassion or self-care, but as a strategic maneuver to garner affection, cultivate a sense of belonging, and ultimately feel accepted. This insidious dynamic necessitates a profound sacrifice, prioritizing social acceptance over personal well-being, often to the detriment of one's physical and mental health. This phenomenon may offer a partial explanation for the disproportionate prevalence of chronic illnesses among women who are frequently socialized from a young age to prioritize the emotional needs of others above their own, suppressing their authentic selves in the process. This intricate interplay between societal pressures and individual development sheds light on the potential origins of the Type C personality. When a child's environment consistently invalidates their gut feelings and emotions, they face a critical developmental dilemma: conform or be ostracized. To ensure their survival and maintain vital connections with their caregivers, the child instinctively learns to suppress their authentic emotional expressions. This suppression becomes a deeply ingrained survival mechanism, prioritizing attachment and acceptance over the honest expression of their inner selves. In this environment, understanding and fulfilling parental expectations emerges as a crucial adaptive strategy for survival. The child, essentially powerless to thrive without the support of their social environment, faces a constant internal struggle. Can I authentically express myself, or must I suppress my true feelings to be considered a good child, a nice child? This internal conflict profoundly shapes their developing personality, leading to a lifelong pattern of prioritizing external validation and social acceptance over internal authenticity. This analysis underscores the profound impact of early childhood experiences on the development of personality traits. When a child's emotional needs are consistently disregarded and their authentic expression is met with disapproval or invalidation, they may develop a Type C personality as a subconscious coping mechanism. This pattern of suppression, while initially crucial for survival, can have long-term detrimental effects on their physical and mental health, highlighting the critical importance of creating nurturing environments that support children's emotional expression and individuality. Mate argues that the imperative to survive often compels us to suppress our authentic selves. He criticizes Peterson's recommendation to punish childhood emotional outbursts with isolation and scorn, a practice that teaches children to repress any negative emotions to avoid the painful consequences of rejection. This early conditioning can lead to the development of an overly agreeable exoskeleton in adulthood, where the need for social acceptance overrides any desire to set healthy boundaries. Furthermore, individuals may begin to internalize the aspirations and expectations of those around them, prioritizing external validation over their own internal compass. This can manifest as a deeply ingrained belief in one's own inherent inadequacy. The child, facing the terrifying prospect of rejection from their caregivers, upon whom their survival depends, may conclude, "It's my fault, I'm bad." This debilitating belief, while initially a painful coping mechanism, allows the child to maintain the illusion that they can earn love and acceptance through diligent effort and unwavering obedience. This concept resonates with the existential philosophies of Ernest Becker and Erich Fromm, who identified two fundamental yet often conflicting human drives. The first is the profound human need to surrender to the greater whole, to find meaning and belonging within a larger context. This can manifest in various forms, such as religious devotion, societal conformity, or immersing oneself in a collective purpose. The second drive is the equally powerful need for individual expression and self-actualization, to assert one's unique identity and claim one's place in the world as an individual. This yearning for authenticity stems from the innate human desire to embrace one's individuality and experience the full spectrum of human emotions. However, these two fundamental drives often exist in a state of tension. Embracing individuality, particularly when it deviates from societal norms or challenges established power structures, can incur significant social and emotional costs. To stray too far from the expected path is to risk losing the protective embrace of society and culture, leaving the individual feeling isolated, alienated, and guilty. This inherent conflict between the need for belonging and the need for authenticity presents a profound existential challenge. Individuals are constantly navigating this delicate balance, seeking to reconcile their unique identities with the demands of their social and cultural environments. This ongoing internal struggle shapes our relationships, our choices, and ultimately, the very fabric of our identities. Becker observed that historically, religion provided a powerful solution to the existential dilemma of reconciling individual identity with the need for meaning and belonging. Religious doctrine offered the comforting assurance that individuals are both uniquely loved by God and perfectly integrated into God's divine plan. This framework provided a sense of both individual worth and meaningful participation in something larger than oneself. In contemporary society, romantic love has increasingly assumed this role, becoming a primary source of meaning, purpose, and existential security. We yearn for a partner who not only loves us unconditionally for who we are, but also sees us as an integral part of a shared, meaningful project, a we that transcends the individual. However, this idealized vision of romantic love places an immense and often unrealistic burden upon both partners. The expectation that one person can simultaneously fulfill all of our deepest emotional needs, provide unconditional love, and serve as the ultimate arbiter of our self-worth is inherently flawed. This idealized model inevitably sets the stage for resentment and disappointment. When individuals feel compelled to suppress their authentic selves, compromise their personal aspirations, and constantly strive to meet their partners and their own idealized expectations within the confines of the relationship, resentment and disillusionment inevitably arise. Furthermore, this dynamic can lead to a dangerous codependency, where individual identity and autonomy become subsumed by the needs of the relationship. This can stifle personal growth, hinder the development of a healthy sense of self, and ultimately undermine the very foundation of the partnership. The idealized and often unrealistic expectations placed upon romantic relationships by our culture significantly increase the risk of relationship failure. This cultural emphasis on romantic love as the ultimate source of meaning and fulfillment reinforces the deeply ingrained fear of aloneness, equating it with unworthiness and inadequacy. It's crucial to question the extent to which our cultural norms and societal structures are rooted in fear-based beliefs and the collective unconscious of unresolved survival responses. How much of our social order is merely a manifestation of a collective pathology, a desperate attempt to fit in and avoid the perceived dangers of isolation? Breaking free from this cycle requires a profound shift in perspective. True authenticity does not lie in the self-indulgent pursuit of individualistic desires, as often portrayed in popular culture. Instead, it lies in the capacity to both embrace one's authentic self and cultivate meaningful, reciprocal relationships, to be both loved and be oneself. Resolving the inherent tension between the need for belonging and the need for individual expression requires a profound act of self-compassion and forgiveness. As Mate rightly observes, the onset of inauthenticity is rarely a conscious choice. We must acknowledge that our parents, like all human beings, were products of their own socio-cultural environments, grappling with their own anxieties and limitations. Blaming our parents for the limitations they imposed upon us serves no productive purpose. Instead, we must recognize that many of our deeply ingrained personality traits, seemingly essential to our identity, may simply be outdated survival mechanisms, remnants of past struggles and adaptations to challenging environments. By acknowledging these unconscious patterns and cultivating self-compassion, we can begin to disentangle ourselves from the limitations of the past and cultivate a more authentic and fulfilling present. It's a sobering realization that many of the personality traits we've come to define ourselves by, the strengths we cherish, the weaknesses we struggle with, may actually be deeply ingrained patterns of adaptation, bearing the scars of past emotional wounds. These traits, often formed in childhood to ensure survival and acceptance, may have become deeply ingrained, overshadowing our authentic selves. True self-compassion involves recognizing these deeply rooted patterns and acknowledging the pain that may have contributed to their formation. It's about honoring the inner child who was perhaps discouraged from expressing their true emotions, told that their feelings were wrong or inappropriate. This process of self-compassion allows us to cultivate a deeper understanding of ourselves and begin to disentangle from these limiting patterns. Self-compassion extends beyond self-reflection. It manifests in our interactions with others, fostering empathy and genuine connection. When we truly understand and honor our own emotional landscape, we become more attuned to the emotional experiences of others. This heightened awareness enables us to listen deeply, to set healthy boundaries that respect our own needs and the needs of others, and to cultivate relationships that nourish our authentic selves. True intimacy emerges when we can authentically express our feelings, fears, and desires without the fear of judgment or rejection. This requires cultivating relationships where vulnerability is met with acceptance and understanding, where partners encourage emotional exploration and communication rather than suppressing or dismissing genuine feelings. True love, in its purest form, is a profound and reciprocal act of compassion. It is a partnership where individuals genuinely prioritize the well-being of their partner, offering support, encouragement, and honest feedback, all while holding each other accountable for their actions and their personal growth. As Gabor Mate eloquently states, it is not only necessary to leave blame and guilt behind on the road to healing, to move from self-accusation to curiosity, from shame to responsibility, it is also always possible. This profound insight underscores the importance of cultivating a space within the relationship where both partners can explore their vulnerabilities, acknowledge their shortcomings, and engage in open and honest dialogue without fear of judgment or recrimination. This dynamic of mutual accountability and support allows both individuals to embrace their authentic selves. It fosters an environment where vulnerability is not met with shame or criticism, but with understanding, compassion, and a genuine desire to help the other grow. Within this framework, the oft-repeated adage, "The only way you can be truly loved is to truly be yourself," ceases to be a mere platitude and becomes a profound reality. When individuals feel safe to express their true selves, to share their deepest fears and desires, to acknowledge their imperfections without fear of rejection, they not only deepen their connection with their partner, but also embark on a journey of self-discovery and personal growth. This journey of self-discovery, nurtured by the supportive and compassionate presence of their partner, allows them to cultivate a deeper sense of self-worth and a more authentic and fulfilling life.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.